Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew again. Recently, Rick Harnish of the High Speed Rail Alliance, a guy who is basically the Mr. Rogers of high speed rail advocacy, posted an article on their website about California high speed rail titled, "Build the Damn Tunnels," and I was taken aback. Clearly, Rick feels strongly about this concept of finishing California high-speed rail tunnels first as a signal from the state legislature that it's committed and serious about the project. But could it work? Does the California High-Speed Rail Authority have the money to build its necessary tunnels, and if so, what comes after construction of those? Let's dive in. First of all, if you're not familiar, California High-Speed Rail is currently a 494-mile-long high-speed rail project to connect Los Angeles and San Francisco. 119 miles are being worked on now in the middle of its route, many miles from either San Francisco or Los Angeles. Construction has been ongoing for 11 years. Opening of the full 494 miles has been delayed at least 20 years. The estimated cost has gone up by at least 300%, and it's only about 1/4 funded. With that out of the way, let's talk about where these tunnels are. They're clustered in 3 locations where the California high-speed rail route crosses mountains. Furthest north is the Pacheco Pass between Gilroy and Fresno, about 40 miles south of San Jose. These are mystery tunnels because apparently the authority has moved them. The route used to be north of the San Luis Reservoir and consisted of a 13-mile tunnel and a 1-mile tunnel. Now they're indicating the route will be south of San Luis Reservoir, but the exact route hasn't been made public yet. They say they've cut tunneling in the area down from 14 miles to 4. I did find one possible route through there, roughly in the French's Pass area, that fits the description. The cost just to bore the tunnel, or tunnels in this case, is $1.5 billion. Only that's not legal. California Law SB 198, passed in 2022, limits spending to the 171-mile intended initial operating segment from Bakersfield to downtown Merced. The 119 miles they're working on now is in the middle of that. In order to spend money on these tunnels, the state legislature would have to change the law, or we would have to wait until 2030 when that restriction ages out. The next location is across the San Joaquin Valley in the Tehachapi area between Bakersfield and Palmdale. Here there will be a series of shorter tunnels to the north and south of the city of Tehachapi. This is according to the environmentally cleared path, but the authority has recently loosened engineering tolerances to allow for steeper grades up to 4%. The previous grade in this area was 2.8%. This will shorten some tunnels and possibly eliminate some of the shortest ones. The authority has tunneling cost here at $2.7 billion. This and total tunnel miles for the Phase 1 interim route implies about 6 miles of tunnel in that area, although it's not specified. Then the last tunneled area on the other side of the Antelope Valley between Palmdale and the San Fernando Valley. Here we run into 2 options. The environmentally cleared version of this route features 30 miles of tunnel total. The authority's enumerated estimate is for an interim solution that would cut that down to a single 12.5-mile tunnel. For the interim solution, that tunnel would provide a shortcut for the existing Metrolink AV line between LA and Palmdale, which is pretty slow. This tunnel would cut about 45 minutes off the current time between the two. Based on a quoted cost of $6.6 billion for the 12.5-mile tunnel, that would be about $14.8 billion of tunneling for the 30 miles. It is very important to point out that in all of these scenarios, those expenses are for one single-tracked capacity limiting tunnel. 2 side-by-side single-track tunnels are planned for full build-out. The interim solution only has one of the 2 sides. Those 3 mountain pass locations total out to $10.8 billion to bore or dig the tunnels of the Phase 1 interim route. There are more expenses in getting those tunnels operable, but first let's look at funding. Identified available funding is $40.5 billion. They've spent $15.5 billion. We're going to want to finish what they're working on now in the Central Valley. That's $21.4 billion. Then you need train sets, power, and stations. That's about $2 billion, leaving $17.1 billion to play with. That means there is enough to dig the tunnels, but probably not enough to do side by side. You only get one side, or you could do side by side in certain areas, but not others. Now we're down to $6.3 billion after digging the single tunnels. What can we do with that? The Bakersfield-Palmdale section is another $23.7 billion on top of the tunnel, so that's out. How about Gilroy? Can we make it there from Madera, where the current 119 miles under construction terminates on the north end? That's $17 billion more than the tunnel, so no. How about LA to Palmdale? Electrifying the existing Metrolink AV line between LA and Burbank would be $860 million. And Burbank to Palmdale on top of the tunnel would be $9.3 billion, another no. $6.3 billion is enough to connect the current Central Valley portion to either of the junky new Bakersfield or Merced stations, but not both. Another option would be to extend Caltrain electrification down to Gilroy from San Jose. However, none of that would connect to the tunnels we dug, so let's start over. Let's try picking a particular tunneled area to dig. We're back to having $17.1 billion. Hey, we can do LA to Palmdale for $16.8 billion, and with the extra, we might have just enough for an area maintenance facility. So we'd be able to run trains between LA Union Station and Palmdale in about an hour and 15 minutes. In the Central Valley, you get high-speed Fresno commuter rail. It's also important to note that Caltrain electrification from San Jose to San Francisco was partially funded by California High-Speed Rail, so the Bay Area does get something in this scenario. Bakersfield-Palmdale is $26.3 billion with the tunnels, so that's out. Gilroy to the Central Valley Y with the tunnels is $18.8 billion, so that's out as well. Unfortunately, the reality of the current funding situation is that you can't really accomplish all that much in the face of the astoundingly large cost estimates. So Rick, here's the deal. You can have what they're planning now, 163 miles of initial operating segment through Fresno from a station outside of Bakersfield to a station outside of Merced. Or you can have that minus the extensions to Bakersfield and Merced, leaving you with 3 iOS stations, Kings Tulare, Fresno, and Madera, i.e. high-speed Fresno commuter rail. And some sort of electrified trains running between LA Union Station and Palmdale in an hour and 15 minutes. Or you can have a Central Valley iOS from Bakersfield to Madera and one side of all of the side-by-side tunnels bored but not connected to anything, as a sign of good faith from the state legislature that they are committed to giving us some sort of functioning high-speed rail between LA and San Francisco in our lifetimes. So what's it gonna be, Rick? Let us know in the comments. Everyone else, please do comment as well and check out the High Speed Rail Alliance. This is not a paid ad or sponsorship. I'm just a member letting you all know that donating to the HSRA is one way that you can advocate for this subject. Hey, a big thanks goes out to the Stu Crew Discord server for all of their help on this one. If you'd like to join our motley crew, check out the invite in the description. And a big thanks to my conspicuous Patreon supporters. You all help make content like this possible. You know who you are, and now everyone else does too. If you'd like to add your name to this list, go check out my Patreon page. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big, beautiful freeway.